CrowdStrike shares are down nearly 30% since the global IT outage in mid-July. However, the company still is feeling the full impact of the disruption. Delta has attacked the firm, saying it lost at least $500 million as a result of the outage. Rick McDonald joins us now, the CEO of cybersecurity firm Dynatrace. Rick, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a couple of weeks, and I think many in tech universe are still digesting the consequences of that event. Microsoft was estimating that about 8.5 million Windows devices were disabled by the event. And of course, we just heard, Delta and CrowdStrike battling over the losses that were suffered, whose fault it was. What, in your view, is the wash-up for the industry as we take stock of an event that actually had bigger consequences than Y2K back in the day?
Well, I think the starting point is that it is more evident than ever that we all expect software to work perfectly. As end users, as corporate officers, we expect software to work perfectly, and that's exactly what Dynatrace is focused to do. The observability market is tuned and targeted at enabling precisely this. We enable the focus on incidents and resolution of those incidents as quickly as possible when they happen. And this is precisely what the CrowdStrike outage highlighted, I think, a few weeks back.
Rick, it certainly did highlight vulnerabilities here, and you mentioned how software works, whether it's working well when it's updated is one of the issues. Some of the criticism from shareholders now over at CrowdStrike is that this should have been tested, and they put question marks over the CEO's claims about whether the software was well and truly tested before it was rolled out in terms of the upgrade. Talk to us about that. For a lot of companies that are relying on third-party software, how do they ensure that any upgrade has been adequately vetted?
Two things. Number one, you really do need to adequately vet, run through QA, and then run through a logical rollout process any software that goes into the market, because the interconnectedness of systems is greater than ever. If you add to that the cloud, and you see now hyperscalers generating, as of last quarter, an annualized run rate of $228 billion of annual revenue that's growing at 25%. The advent of digital transformation is making software more complicated, not less. And it's causing an explosion of data and a massive increase in complexity. And this complexity cannot be managed manually. So you really need automated systems to be able to evaluate software, reduce incidents, and correct those incidents when they actually do occur.
The other point here was resolution on the other side. If something does happen, how do you quickly pick yourself up and move forward? It would seem that the older devices out there were more resilient. There's been a pushback from Delta saying, hey, this was all your issue, to CrowdStrike, and CrowdStrike saying, well, no, it was actually some of your own issues as well. This is what lawyers will debate. But just weigh in on this. How do you ensure that you can quickly recover if there is a problem with third-party software?
Well, it really is around preparation and making sure that you do have the sophisticated automated systems like observability solutions from Dynatrace, as we discussed, to be able to constantly monitor your solutions. In Dynatrace, we use what we refer to as a power of three AI approach, which uses causal, predictive, and generative AI, all bundled together to be constantly analyzing billions of data points, so that you can aggregate, evaluate, and then respond to those data points in near real time. And this is what enables you to be able to observe your overall software environment and software architecture and to resolve it as quickly as you can. Now, to be clear, we couldn't have eliminated the CrowdStrike issue from happening when it goes to a blue screen. But for many of our customers, and we have well over 4,000 of them, they relied upon us to get their systems back up and running much more quickly by showing them the priority of getting those systems back online at maximum speed.
Yeah, Rick, I just want to get into your business, if I will, then. And, I think the CrowdStrike situation is one that will definitely have a lot of outwash as well, and we'll continue to focus on that as well in days ahead. But you have operations still in Europe, and I wonder, how does Europe remain competitive in this cyber security space? And I mean, you still have a large presence in Europe, and one wonders whether you still consider yourself even a European tech company.
In many ways, yes, it's a great question. We were founded in Linz, Austria, We still have over 95% of our R&D and innovation efforts actually occurring in Europe. So we continue to be excited about that. We have access to, among the greatest universities, the incredible technology talent, and that allows us to focus on building a core group of engineers and capabilities in Europe that we believe is a superpower of Dynatrace. And so we couldn't be more delighted, and we still view absolutely our presence in Europe as a core differentiator for Dynatrace.
If that is the case, then, so how does Europe then maintain or at least try to prove its status as a tech hub then globally? It may not necessarily compete with the US in terms of valuations, but just the ability to still be the place that investors or other people ultimately go to then for tech strategy.
Well, I guess our perspective on it is, as I mentioned, we have access to what we believe to be incredible talent. We view Central Europe in many ways, at least with our presence there, to be, in some sense, the Silicon Valley of Europe. And that access to talent provides us a great competitive advantage relative to many US companies. So it enables us to innovate faster, drive more productivity, do so in many locations at lower cost, and drive innovation faster than our competitors.
Rick, I want to pick up on regulators because they're having more success at pushing back at big technology companies that they deem as too powerful. I'm not just talking about European regulators, in the United States as well. Does that present opportunities as the so-called gatekeepers are now tamed from some of their activities?
We don't tend to look at gatekeeping or regulatory elements as fueling our business, other than from a customer perspective, the compliance is particularly relevant and incredibly critical. For example, DORA throughout Europe in the financial services sector is becoming more important. Observability software like Dynatrace's can help in that regard. But overall, our focus on competition is to win based on innovation, and that's what we've been doing since we were founded in 2005. That is what has led to us being a leader in our community, as seen by multiple analyst firms, and we're focused on delivering committed, substantial customer value, and that's what drives us really every day.
Yeah, very interesting, actually, overall, I think, Rick. And hopefully we can have another discussion with you as well, just around this space, as well as just around Dynatrace too. Rick McConnell, appreciate your time then this morning as well, CEO of Dynatrace. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris